Hey yo, it's Creech Boo from Drop Dead Ink again. Long time no see. How's everybody been? Thanks for bearing with me. So I just wanted to make a quick video. So there's been a long-standing debate, which I firmly argued for only buying American-made coil machines, in particular tattoo machines. And although I will say that my Unimax machines, which I have right here, are still my favorites. And right now, actually, I don't even think you can get the first generations anymore. Last time I checked their website, I think they only had the second and third generations. But for a while, like these first generations that I paid a pretty good amount of money for, were on sale for $50, which is a steal. I will say one thing about these machines, like the tube vise screws right here, are definitely a little bit better. The solders on these, on the coils themselves, are definitely way better than on Chinese or Japanese made machines, which are kind of just, and I'm not dissing them, believe me, I've actually been kind of proved myself wrong. But I will say that, like a lot of those foreign made coil machines are just kind of production line, as with most things overseas. And with most American made machines, they do take a little bit more time. Even the wrappers and the wrapping on the coils themselves are better. They have these little, and I can actually show you, and these are like, I don't know, 1989-ish era. Actually, let me show you that. I got some antiques over here, and we're going to talk about just the way that, I mean, this is like a 1973. And look at like all this stuff on them is just way better. Nice brass contact assemblies. These rear spring saddles, which actually keep the springs from wobbling and keep them from breaking. I mean, even these old style machines, I think were probably better made. And this is a 1968, and they both still run. That's a Stan Bowery Moskowitz liner. Anyway, so I did find some coil machines that were Japanese or Chinese made, from a company called, oh my God, Focus Tattoo Supply. And I will say I'm pretty impressed with them. They have this one right here, that I bought. They were only like about $30-ish. And this is like a kind of a knockoff of a Sailor Jonesy roundback. I'm not a big fan of red anything on tattoo machines, but whatever. This is my liner. It's got 8 wrap coils, and it's kind of a combination of like a Spalding Supreme and a Mickey Sharp's dial. And my personal favorite out of the three, and this looks like a Sailor Jerry Bulldog. What I do like about them is the side mount. I'm spacing out today. Things that you plug the clip cord in, which make it a lot easier if you have to tighten them or replace coils or anything, like with these bottom mounted ones. You can see, like, literally if the binding post got loose, you would actually have to take the coils right off to just tighten it. So on these, I thought that the side mounted were kind of cool, and they actually run really well. I didn't really want to put out a video too early because I wanted to try them out a little bit. But I mean, this is only on 6.3 volts. It's a shader. You can probably see it's got a pretty whopper of a stroke length I got it set as. Of course, I got my little beater needle as always. So what I did actually, because the solders on the coils are kind of like flimsy, like I always worry about breaking them. All I did was take a little bit of like, oh man, I'm telling you, I'm spacing out today. Well, just like super glue or anything, I guess, or Gorilla Glue, and just kind of dabbed a little bit on like the capacitors, just to make sure that the solders weren't going to break. But again, they all run very well, and I was actually pretty impressed. And so it was a remarkable surprise, and they were all pretty much around the $30 range, and that's from Focus Tattoo Supply. Um, One thing I will say about Focus that I really like is they make they're one of the few companies that I've ever found that make a full size variety of flat shaders. Don't mean Magnum shaders, I mean flats, um, um, which are kind of a lot easier to work with, I find. So, like if you're using a Magnum, really the only way to have them work correctly, like if you were, depending on the area, of course, you tattoo, but supposing I was tattooing this desk, like with a Magnum, I would have to have the machine pretty much at a perfect angle to actually have all the needles in the Magnum work. And with a flat, you can kind of angle them a little bit, like so if your wrists get tired. Like with a Magnum, if you were to angle it, you're only going to get like the bottom row of the Magnums. So, and the same thing with like round shaders. So that's one thing. I always see videos of guys or people and they're using Magnums and they always have their machines angled. And I'm like, you guys are only like getting the bottom row of the needles. So that's one thing with regular flats, which were pretty much the only, like when I started tattooing, they didn't even make Magnums at the time. I remember when I started tattooing, we used to have to solder the needles on ourselves. Like nobody actually even made pre-made needles, which tells you how old I am. But been in business a long time. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of run that with you again. That's Focus Tattoo Supply. Um, they're a good company. They have a wide range of rotary machines as well. But again, I was definitely pleasantly surprised with the coil machines. Another thing, though, I will say about um, like any basically any machine that's metric, it always seems like they kind of like the when you go to tighten the screws, they do seem to like strip out a little bit easier than like an American thread, for whatever reason. I don't really know. It seems like the Allen keys that are metric are just always a little bit too small to like get a good tight turn on them without stripping them out. Another thing I didn't really care for too much is these tube vice things. Screws, like they kind of seem like they would break if you really torqued them down. They're like kind of one piece. Of course, you can obviously replace them, but I mean, there's pros and cons. But I will say for the price, they definitely run really well, and I've been corrected in saying that you should never buy a China made or a foreign made coil machine because, like I say, I didn't really want to do a video right away on them. I wanted to try them out, make sure nothing like blew, like the coils didn't just get smoked. But yeah, they're running really, really well, and I really, really do like side mounted. These side mounted contact posts. This one has them a little bit differently than my personal favorite, which, like I say, it looks like a Sailor Jerry Bulldog, a spin off of that. So, anyway, just a quick video. Thanks, guys, for your patience. It's been a busy summer. I do have a bunch of new tattoo machines, rotaries in particular. Oh, here's another one I can show you real quick from. This is like a super, super mini. This again too is from Focus, or a little bit different, like style, little A-wrap coils. This thing's like tiny. So anyway, yeah, and I did end up replacing the contact screw on it, and the spring on it was only like a one piece, which I thought was weird. And just the way that the frame is, like you really have to kind of bend it down quite a bit. But whatever. I mean, as long as it runs, right? As long as it runs right, it runs. So good to go. Again, I don't know if I would say that I would ever put them in a higher category than my Unimax, which are definitely my favorite coil machines probably ever. And just they're a really, really great company. Um, it's Unimax East if you're on the East Coast or if you want to do business with their New York shop. And I think they have a Unimax West, which is California based, but definitely check them out. They have like really great, American made inks. I still am a little reluctant about using China made tattoo inks. These EO ones are actually made by Unimax too, which I think are just actually star brights that they kind of relabeled. Um, but they have allegory blacks and whites. Um, yeah, and I use a lot of star bright colors. That's my Kurt Silver series. But yeah, anyway, so just thought I'd kind of throw that out there. Again, everybody, thank you so much for my subscribers. You guys mean the world to me. I was surprised to see I had like over 500 now. And hopefully this helped out. Again, if you guys do have any questions, you can either message me on YouTube or I would say I'll leave the link for my Gmail address and my the description on this, but I very seldom by the time I even get around to looking at my emails, it seems like they get automatically deleted. So maybe your best bet is to either call or text the number that I should have on my page, but I'll also leave that, or just message me on YouTube directly. Anyway, you guys, thanks a bunch again for my subscribers. You guys mean the world to me. And I will try once the summer season, now that it's kind of coming to a close, hopefully try to put out some more videos. I did get a few more wormhole rotary pens that I'm actually pretty impressed with those as well. For the price, it's like phenomenal. They actually, again, I had a bad experience with Cheyenne. I bought one of their very first pens that they'd come out with. It was like $900 and something dollars. First thing that happened, well, at the time they didn't have the cords with like the little 90 on them. So like basically they were straight cords and the gravity would like kind of pull them apart a little bit. So the cord went. I had a heck of a time even finding the cord because at that point I think other people were starting to have trouble with Cheyennes. I was so hard just to find a cord because a lot of people stopped selling their products, like my main suppliers. And then shortly after I did find the cord, just the machine itself kind of conked out literally. And at the time I was barely ever using rotaries. So, I mean, even though the warranty had briefly expired, I think I had like 30 hours on the machine. So for $900 and something dollars, I was thinking that thing was going to last like a lifetime. And, I get these wormholes that are a fraction of that price, and they seem to perform well and have lasted pretty well. Anyway, I mean, to each his own. And preventive maintenance is a crucial thing. I see people with rotary machines on YouTube and like these super expensive rotaries, and they'll run them, and it's like, oh my God, they sound like weed whackers. I might put a little oil on those things, like oil the cams on them. And I got to kind of take care of your stuff if you want to. I mean, I have $45 rotary pens that sound better than $600-700 whatever other kind of brands that people just get, and they just don't take care of them. They just run them until they die. And that's one thing, unfortunately, about rotaries. Eventually, the motors are going to blow on them. I mean, they're not going to last forever, no matter how much you pay for them. But whatever. And with obviously with coil machines, you can just buy a new pair of coils, and if they ever do happen to conk out on you, it's not all that much to replace a pair of coils as it would be to replace a whole new tattoo machine. Plus, I don't know, like I have such sentimental value with my tattoo machines. Like, oh my god, every time something happens with one, I'm like, oh, I just want to cry. But anyway, all right, guys. So yeah, that's my video for today, and I will hopefully be talking to you guys again soon. Thanks for the support, and as always, thinking. See ya.